Okay, guys, let's look at the week beginning 10/26 and ending today, 10/30, day before Halloween, and see what trades popped up for us on 30-year bond and 10-year note. It basically followed the 30-year this week pretty close. So start off. I wasn't up for this. Let's see if I can get my mouse to move. Here we go. But we did have a signal here in that ADX crossing. So you could have, it popped right up to the pivot and then pulled back. So there were some ticks there. And then this thing trails off, and then we get right down on our zero line here, bouncing around that zero line. But right when it takes off again, we've already had our signal, and we had a little pullback. So you could have got in right here. I took a trade. I got in on, I think, when this thing kind of jumped, I jumped on this thing when it broke this pivot and we had our signal up. I typically don't like to trade right here in this little red zone, but I did take a trade that day, and it paid off pretty good. And that was on Monday. And then the rest of the day, I just, I didn't do anything. And you can see here, it just chopped the rest of the day. Let's go to Tuesday. Oh, if I can get my mouse to work. We go down below the line, and then right here again, right here at 7:20, that's when the bond pit opens. We always get a lot of activity, so it's tricky to trade there, but if you can get a strong signal, we had a squeeze, ADX is blowing up, and then we get our cross. There were some ticks to be had. You'd had to jump on this second bar, and that lines right up when we turn blue, and our squeeze is firing. If you get all those things lined up, it typically is a pretty good setup. So if you could have held on, it'd been this first bar right after the signal fires, right there, and right there at 7:20. There was definitely some ticks to be had there, and a profitable trade. Then the rest of the day, again, it just chops out. Yeah, that's kind of how this little pattern plays out for me. You get 1 to 2 trades a day, and you can profit on those pretty good if you're there and ready. So let's go to Wednesday. See what we got here. Wednesday. Oh yeah. Remember this day? It was just a chop fest. Chop fest. Big squeeze. Look at this squeeze building. All the way. Just building all day. I got some signals firing off, but I'm not trading this time of the afternoon. All right, well, what we got? We've got our squeeze, which is fantastic. This thing starts to fire short. We've got our ADX turning blue. We've already got our signals. Got a nice little pullback, so that was perfect. I did jump on this and I just let it blow right down to the pivot. It just fell through. So I mean, it's a 158.03 to if you just get out at the pivot point, 157.17. 25 ticks. So not bad. Again, it's chop fest, and our ADX is below our line. Now it did pop right here, but you had a squeeze going on. I guess that I wasn't up, or I didn't see that. that would have been a stop out though if I would have been paying attention, if I would have taken that trade. But I slept late that day, thank God, because I would have taken that. Um, I would have waited till it got up here to this average, or tried to, but that would have been a stop out. So not all these work. Plus you had the squeeze firing, so that was a little head fake. But this one I did jump on, and it was fantastic. So let's see. That was Wednesday. I don't know. I had to. I slept late that day. I got lucky. Let's see. Thursday was the big day. I'll show you how I played this. Okay, I did get up early here and took a little trade right here on this and just sucked a few ticks out. Nothing. Right down to the pivot, and then this thing just chops, and then we go, and it goes back under. And I got in on this trade right here, right on this first bar, right before it turns blue, and I ran it down the pivot again, and then it came back and it stopped me out. It stopped me out on this bar, but I had some profit, because this chart doesn't do this justice. This thing went way up, just smoked a bunch of stops, me included, but that's okay. I was trailing it. And then the next trade was right here. And this was a little more tricky because, you're longer in the tooth, so to speak, but you had a nice pull back to the pivot, and jump on that bad boy, and away you go. For a point and a half, I think. 157.14 or 13. You could have waited till it broke this, but you had a solid point when it. I did try a little bounce trade in here, which it didn't work. I had a real tight stop. I thought it might come here and touch this, especially since this ADX was so. The trend was a little long, in my opinion. Obviously, I was wrong there, but typically you don't see these. You see these things curving over at 40. That's why I've got that line there, or it doesn't even get to 40. But this thing blew way up to, over 60, or right at 60 something. So you had a hell of a trend. But I did try a little reverse trade right there, and it just blew right through me. But it was like a 3-tick stop. Nothing major, but fantastic trade here. 2 trades on this actually, with a little stop. It's a shame that stopped, because that could have just turned into a monster. But you can see this week there were several good trades here. And Friday, take a couple. Had a good one, and I had a stop out. Let's see where we're at here. And I didn't take this one in the afternoon. Should have, but didn't. Got to watch the afternoons more. So sometimes you get a little. This is Friday. This is live, and you get some little lunchtime rallies. There's not that common, but when you have a bunch of this stuff, sometimes you'll get a little late afternoon rally every once in a while. But I've got some signals going off right now, but I did not trade it. But you see this squeeze, and you see this squeeze starting to fire along, and you see what happened. It ran right up to this pivot point. That was my little pivot point from yesterday that I tried the reversal on. Well, today it would have worked. Again, this red zone's kind of not my trade time, but I always kind of look at those every month. If I need to adjust some trade times, I will, but typically about 10:30 I'm done. But boy, there was a nice reversal there. If you could have put it on 19 and with a 3-tick stop or something, and had a nice reversal. But I took this trade this morning, and it just blew right down, and just it was a pretty quick trade and a nice profit. I also took this trade, this other down signal, because I had a squeeze, but the squeeze just didn't work, and I stopped on it pretty quick. But this would have been a really good one. This squeeze did work. One thing I noticed as I look back on this trade, and as I even look at it now, the squeeze starts building, but we still have a lot of bars up above in this example, and then I get a signal. So we need to wait, until we get some confirmation that this thing's going to fire some which way. Because look, it just chops with the squeeze on, even though I jumped on it. Obviously, in hindsight, wait and then let this thing fire and then jump on it. And then we get our ADX confirmation too. We got it moving up too. And then they kind of all come together here. And you got a not a huge trade, but that's definitely some money. Anyway, that's the week going into Halloween. And it could have been good. And should have been good if you'd been trading this little strategy. Anyway, have a good weekend. See you later.